Hello everyone. Welcome back to our YouTube channel where we aim to shape personalities and realize careers.
We are sure that the interim budget of 2024 must be on everyone's mind. And you all must be wondering how will it affect daily life? What impact it will have on prices of essential commodities and how will the markets and general economy react to it?
Fortunately, we have with us Miss Ashmita Kaur, an expert of the dynamic landscape of public policy and economics, who is here to answer our doubts.
As an alumnus of prestigious University of Delhi, Ms. Ashmita has not only excelled in her academic pursuits but also emerged as a beacon of inspiration for students navigating the integrate pathways of the professional world. Having dedicated her career to understanding the dynamic landscape of public policy, Ms. Ashmita brings a wealth of knowledge and experience that transcends mere academic theory. Her insights into the interplay of economic forces, government policies, and their far reaching implications on our daily lives are invaluable.
As we delve into the intricate details of the interim budget of 2024, her expertise promises to shed light on the nuanced aspects of fiscal policy, providing us with a comprehensive understanding of its potential impacts. Her commitment to fostering a more informed and enlightened perspective has not only resonated with students, but has also contributed significantly to the broader discourse on economic well being.
So, settle in as we embark on a journey of enlightenment, dissecting the nuances of fiscal policy and its profound impact on our collective welfare. Join us as we unravel the mysteries of the interim budget of 2024 and chart a course towards a more informed understanding of our economic landscape. Ma'am, could you provide us with a comprehensive summary detailing the key highlights from the latest budget, focusing on the strategic priorities and notable policy initiatives outlined in the budgetary framework of India? We are also interested in understanding any changes to income tax rates, thresholds, or brackets that may affect the individuals and businesses.
Okay, thank you so much, Kunal and Mahima, for the introduction. And as we all are aware that the interim budget of this fiscal year is in front of us. I hope you guys are recording it because the session is going to be quite interesting. And also, we have encountered a lot of highlights of the budget already in these 2 days. I mean, everyone is was looking forward toward this session. So, although this is an interim budget, so it ought to be the shortest budget. And I must say, the BJP government is quite confident of winning themselves in the next, in the next election. That is why, they have shown such a not so too much of changes in the budget, but however, they are confident of their mandate, which is clearly depictable in the in the budget itself. So when we talk about the major highlights and what were the expectations, as your question says, so it's a pre-election vote on account and not a full budget. We are still waiting upon full budget. However, the budget had limited legroom. Even that, the Nirmala Sitharaman, our honorable finance minister, covered everything very well. She tapped upon each and every sector which was important to be tapped upon in this economy. As India is going to be the third largest economy soon, so we are catering to our 5 trillion goal. So the government has put it well about our four main interest groups. So the budget has highlighted it as a class, but I will not say it as a class, but I will categorize them into various interest groups. So, namely women, youth, farmers, and poor. So the budget documents that income tax revenue, whenever you talked about the word tax. So the document says that the tax revenues will account for 19% of the government resources in FY25. which is absolutely a great number because it's the direct tax. And we can see that, how important it is, as it is ahead of the corporate tax, which is projected to be around 17%, whereas GST will be accounting for 18% and borrowings for 28%. So we can see that the income tax slab is quite efficient, and the revenues will be great. So it's clear that the income tax contributions will be the top contributor. And when we talk about the other highlights that were made in the budget itself, so we all know that there were no changes in tax slab. However, it doesn't mean that there are, no work for the CAs. So CAs must be happy because they are, not seeing much of the changes. However, the corporate taxes will be 22% for existing domestic companies and 15% for new manufacturing companies. So this highlights one of them, that the new manufacturing companies are going to be better. The government is focusing upon the manufacturing sector, which when we will be developed into, better amenities and better production. So it's a clear goal that the manufacturing sector is being kept force upon. As well as when we talked about the budget, the FM quietly focused upon the Atmanirbhar Bharat. So manufacturing, that is why, has been a booster, and there has been much outlays. And no tax liability for the taxpayers with income up to INR 7 lakh. And this is the tax regime, and the tax regime has been restained, and there has been no further changes. So taxation sector has been quite appropriate and has been sorted out. Another bright spot, which will be, the housing sector. So the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which is a very important highlight of the budget, and it has set to achieve the target of 3 crore houses. And when we see, and I compare it to the previous one to make an R analysis, I see that there have been additionally 2 crore targeted for next 5 years. For the next 5 years. So, quite ambitious in this case. I will say, when I draw the analysis, I will say that this is uh, quite ambitious, and it's much of forthfulling as well. So, when we move forward, I will also cater to the Skill India. So 1.4 crore youth have been trained under Skill India mission. So that's quite success, and I will say it's again, when we talk about core on core schemes. So there has been Manrega, if you cater to, which has been a very popular scheme. So Manrega is one of the core on core scheme that has been characterized by the government, which I will talk much more into detail into the following session. However, I will also call the Skill India mission as well a very core scheme into the part of the government as well, because it is what has made, establishment of various universities, when we say, and 23 IITs, as mentioned by her in the speech, 22 IIMs, which is an incredible number. So this is yet to follow, and we can see the achievability of our Skill India. When we talk about the forthcoming next sector, which would I like to be, is the healthcare sector. So we have seen the encouragement of, the cervical vaccination for girls up to the age of 14 years. Again, a good attempt. And the health coverage under Ayushman Bharat scheme to be extended to all Anganwadi workers, helpers, ASHA workers, and other sectors like physical infrastructure have already been unfolded, like introduction of 40,000 rail bogies of Bharat standards. And then we have the transformation of metro rails and Namo Bharat. So we can see the expansion of existing airports, metro lanes, into the development of more and more into our Udhan scheme as well. So quite conclusive steps in have been highlighted in the budget. So it has lead up to much speculations when we talk about the government schemes, and it has fulfilled the sectors like physical infrastructure and health, and the coverage of long-term interest loans, adoption of e-buses for physical for public transport as well, crop insurance, and Lakpati DDs. The scheme has set to target 1 crore women, which is an incredible number. So we can see that these glances tell us that the budget was a balanced one, I will say.
Thank you, ma'am. That was really insightful. You mentioned Manrega as well. So, delving into that, could you shed more light on the allocated funds and the policy initiatives towards rural development?
Okay, so when we talk about the rural development, I will also like to bring about the agriculture sector as well, because the much of the agriculture sector comes from a rural background. So I will say that both of them are interlinked and they are dependent and interdisciplining, both of them. So when we talk about the rural development, so as we all know, there were schemes, schemes wherein there had been great direct transfer of 6,000, into the families of the rural people. So surprisingly and shockingly, when the elections are all around, there has been no change in that scheme. I thought it to be, or majority of the people thought it that this is going to be increased. This could not be seen. So it's a good step, and it tells us that how confident the upcoming mandate is. Even in other funds like PM Asha, we have it, the other schemes, there has been a cut or no increase in the schemes, which could have also been, there could also be a more of increase. However, it was a sixth straight budget, so there was not much implications and changes, and the policies were even cater to the cuts, and they remained the same rather than being absolutely increased. So that was a good thing. And when I come to the agriculture sector, and I relate it with the rural development, the budget allocated, I mean, a total of 1.7 lakh crores for 2024 year to 25 for agriculture development. So marginally up from funds actually spent. I mean, if we look at the revenue estimates, so that was 1.16 lakh crore for 2023 to 24, and budget estimates of rupees 1.15 lakh crore for 24 to 25. So that is a great booster. But there requires, when we talk about the rural development and when we cater to the future, there is a question mark, because these all policies are there. However, we need a correct implementation of value addition to transform, our capital formation and into a much favor, and then we need to focus upon the allocation part. So if the allocation is perfect, then only these schemes is gonna be working, which is still not a good number or a good picture. However, these require more of investments that could cater to maybe post harvest activities, which majority of the rural people quite engage themselves, or we can have better aggregation of crops, modern storage facilities, efficient supply chains, primary and secondary processing, marketing, and branding. Which, when we focus upon these activities and these, turn into the more focus, then there can be, when we are talking about an economic macro world, we can see that there should be a capital formation. So this will already turn a gross good capital formation, which is the need of the hour, rather than focusing upon just increasing the the budget estimates, the revenue estimates for the outlays of these schemes. So that is one relevant point that we can draw, and that needs attention, and that is what we are going to see through the year as well, that whether this physical year is going to be that promising as well.
Thank you, ma'am. That clarified a lot of things. We are keen to understand the potential implication for the investment sector of the economy. Could you provide insights into how the allocated funds, tax reforms, and regulatory measures outlined in the budget might impact investor sentiment, capital inflows, and overall investment climate?
Okay, so a good question, because everyone is focusing upon what is gonna be in the future. So I'll say that the future is bright for India. When we look upon our previous year, which has been tremendously good growth quarters. We have seen G20, we have seen other prominent things as well. So we can see the growth trajectory. And when we talk about the future and the investment part, so let's draw the conclusion to the next quarter. If I say in the midterm, I can see the power sector to grow up. So summers is going to be coming up next. Then we can see that the power sector is quite strong. There is power grid. And when we see upon the investment side, obviously the stock market has been quite consistent and has given good returns. So we are expecting the power market to generate a lot of revenue in the upcoming next midterm. And let's move on to the other sectors. So if I see infrastructure, when we talk about the growth, you can see that the creation of infrastructure, let's take an example of Ram Mandir. So we can also see that hospitality is going to be growing, and it will be a hub for the tourism sector. We can see that growing. So from an investment point of view, we look at the big large numbers. So with all these yields, we see that India's midterm growth is still a question mark, because it's a question mark that can we sustain 7% growth trajectory for granted. I mean, the answer to this question depends on where one stands in the supply side and the demand side debate of economics. The government in its decade, when we look about the 10 years of the government, and we compare this 2024-25 perfect year to compare it upon 2014 to 15, we see that the government has established itself as a committed supply manager of the economy, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's the agriculture sector, whether it's the energy transition sector, or hospitality sector, or the service sector, manufacturing sector. The government's job is to provide critical infrastructure while making sure that there is no acute distress among the poor. So the approach has worked well for the creation of the same and boosted the political fortunes of the government. But the evidence on a sustained private demand revival is still a little far from the conclusion, and we need more some conclusive, which we will see through the year. And most probably we'll see through the lens of these months up till July, because we are still awaiting for the full budget of the government. So the interim provides a good picture, like there is not going to be much big jadoo type thing happening in the upcoming next month, that July budget will be different. However, the government will play its part. It will play the seat will be placed. So we'll see how things will be a little transformed, and there are more ambitions to the upcoming budget than to this budget. So because it also depends on who forms the government. So the all the sectors are bullish upon their growth. So, and specifically I told about the infrastructure and the power sector. So we can see that them booming.
Thank you, ma'am. That that puts a lot of things in context. Now, following the recent release of the budget, what specific provisions of measures have been introduced that directly affect the middle class earners?
Okay, so whenever it's quite a mandate, and it's always said that the budget is always for the poor because they are getting the most of the rebates and the subsidies, or is it for the rich who are getting some of the benefits? For middle class, it's just the debate and it's just the TV that we are watching on the budget. However, I'll say that when we are catering to the middle class, we have a great largest population who falls into the middle class term. And I will say that the word is quite itself a complicated word, because we have two divisions of the middle class. One is the upper middle class and the one is the lower middle class. And when I say the direct benefit or direct implications towards this class, there are no direct impact of the budget on the middle class, because there has been no change in the income tax slabs. However, there will be indirect implications towards the same. So when we see the when we see the India growing, when we see the other sectors growing, definitely each one of us who are a part of investing, who are a part of in the circle, because we are seeing the developed India, we are seeing the developing India, we are seeing the development of India as well. So that's a blessing to us. So when we are a much of spending our time into India's growth trajectory, we are also set to grow. So we are also being good benefited from this budget. However, there will be no direct implications.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really insightful. Could you give us the insights about the government strategies and investments aimed at promoting environmental conservation, mitigating climate change impacts, and fostering sustainable growth across various sectors of the economy?
Okay, so when we talk about the environment word, so after the World Economic Forum, after COP28 being happening, last year, so the climate has been on the priority list for each and every country, as we are moving towards our goals. We see that SDG goals, like sustainable development goals, are far fetched. We are catering to the growth, but we are forgetting the implications on climate, on environment, however, which need to be catered upon. So it's a good thing that India presumed the G20 presidency, which also highlighted the climate prospect. However, I think the budget, my views are quite personal in that. I will first specify that, because I don't think that the focus has been laid upon the environment or the climate sector, which could be addressed. However, the government has created good of outlays, in the energy transition. So that is going to be affecting indirectly, I will say that, because the goals of technology research, or corpus of 1 lakh crore has been established for technology research. So maybe in that case we can see how we can develop key issues and solve the problems of our climate and environment. However, the budget doesn't say that they're going to be allocating this much into the environment sector. So that is the need of the hour, and that is what is alarming. However, all the countries are now focused on the climate transition, and which is going to be happening through net zero goal, through our climate transitions and resilience of the supply chains.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was really insightful. Now, as we wrap up this episode, we want to express our heartfelt gratitude to our incredible speaker, Ms. Ashmita Kaur, for sharing her expertise, insights, and passions. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today. It was truly an incredible session.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this journey. If this session helped you in adding value in your life, then don't forget to like and share this video. And do let us know your valuable feedback and questions in the comment section. Stay tuned with Spark Hansraj for more such content. Thank you.